This is the Swarm and Shoot football show with me, Manny Matsakis, the head football coach at Defiance College. We feature Defiance College football and everything that influences our program. This show is brought to you by our friends at Big B Coffee right across campus on North Clinton Street. I'm actually having a cup right now, so everybody check it out on YouTube, and you can see the video of the cup and how delicious this beverage is. Get the finest coffee beverages, even tea, in Defiance, as well as great pastries, breakfast sandwiches to start your day off, and you can even get a pick-me-up like a lot of our coaching staff does in the afternoon. I'd also like to bring on board the maker of this fine apparel right here, and not just Nike, but we're talking about BSN Sports, all right? I'd like to bring on board our latest sponsor, BSN Sports, and Rob Held and his sales team are the professionals you need to get in touch with for all your sporting goods and apparel needs in Ohio. Not only do they work with high school and college sports teams, they also deliver outstanding apparel to businesses so they can brand themselves in a first-class manner. This is episode 50 of the Swarm and Shoot football show with me, Manny Matsakis, the head football coach here at Defiance College. And we are joined by our defensive coordinator, Javon Johnson. How's it going, Javon?
It's going well. Happy to be on.
Yeah, we're going to talk today about your area of expertise, the group that we have coming back, our defensive backs, and then we'll give a foreshadow of some things to come with some of the prospects that we've already got on board coming in, deposited, and so forth, ready for training camp. But let's talk about, as a group, the guys that you had last year. We have a lot of defensive backs coming back that played and have some significant experience for us. Even though they're young, they have experience. So just as the whole group itself, how do you feel about them?
I'm excited. I'm excited to be able to coach this group of guys for more years than just having them 1 year. I was fortunate enough to have a lot of young guys, allow that group to learn, to gel together, and to keep progressing and moving forward. We got Stephen Lucas, who's the elder statesman in the room of the defensive backs room. He's a leader by example, goes out, gets it done, plays hard every play, sometimes lets his emotions get the best of him. But, we have a really good group, a really good group of young men that embrace learning and just continuing to grow and get better.
Yeah, I will say this, for our fans out there, hearing how you operate, I just want to lift the veil for them a little bit. It was very common last year throughout the season. I would be maybe after dinner, I'd go back in my office, be late at night. And, Javon's in there working with the young defensive backs, helping them sort of bridge the gap from what they were doing in high school to being able to play at the college level. And I agree. I mean, the stuff you've been able to do with a young group, Javon, is fantastic. I'm excited about all these guys come back, see how well they've trained this summer. But how do you feel about specifically some guys playing the cornerback position for you?
We had a lot of guys that were able to get on the field and get some valuable reps in game situations. So we have a lot of versatility there when it comes to guys who could get out there and be day one starters. So that's always a good thing to make it harder on the coach to have to pick which guy is going to be best fit for that starting position. So I like to have the decision harder on me than it is on those guys. Being that the competition level is and the margin of error is so slim. With the number of guys with the number of valuable reps they got, it was just a blessing to be able to coach them. But when you get guys coming back like Jacquet Janvier, smaller defensive back, but a high football IQ, kid that understands the position, understands angles and leverage, and does what you ask him to do. We had Michael Myers, a kid who came on the scene late, had some discipline issues early, bounced back from it, and ended up playing the last 4 games for us and did very well. Then you got Machari Bigums, who played a little bit of both ways, um, a natural corner, but still got to work on his physicality a little bit. And I tell him that all the time. So it's no secrets here. But you got to be a willing tackler at the corner position in order for you to get on the field. Carlin Alicia is a guy who has all the physical tools, but again, just was inconsistent throughout the season. He was on and off, and in order to play at the high level, at the college level, you got to be consistent and you got to be able to do it all the time, and not just sometimes, because that's how it ultimately gets you beat. We do got a variety of guys that made plays for us, that did a lot of great things. And it's definitely going to be a tough decision to see who ends up where and how they pan out, especially with this off season of summer workouts, seeing who comes back physically fit, in condition, prepared to take that position and own it.
Yeah, without question, Javon, and I do have to admit, when we had our winter workouts in the weight room, you could see that all of the defensive backs making considerable progress. And, and a couple of them ran track, which was great. They would get out and run pretty well. And you could see training was important to them, and they understand, at least have a preliminary understanding of what it is, the work ethic to play that position. What do you think when you look at the safety position? We want a little bigger guy sometimes, or a guy that can come downhill and do some things for you there. How do you see that? And can you talk about a few of the guys that you foresee come back to compete in training camp?
The safety position for us, we like to have guys who are mirrored, because you got to be able to play both sides. But at the end of the day, we want guys who are physical, but guys who are also smart. In our secondary room, having a leader in the room like Stephen Lucas, again, a guy who showed up game in and game out with his play, let his play do the talking. I want him to be more of a vocal leader this year. I want him to step outside of his comfort zone. I want him to be comfortable being uncomfortable and lead that group, because he has a large influence in our room, whether he knows it or not. A lot of the younger guys look up to him because they've seen the success that he had. And then him playing next to, Jalen Red, who was a young player, who often learned on the fly and through his own mistakes, and being criticized for the mistakes that he did make. He got better every week and just continued to grow. And that's what you want to see in the safety position. You want to see guys that are physical, willing tacklers, but you also want guys that are smart enough to be able to get guys lined up and control that back end, and then ultimately be that last line of defense so that we don't get beat over the top.
Yeah, I like all those guys you just mentioned there. They do a nice job. I was on the phone the other day with Steven Lucas, and it seemed like he wants to make his senior year something very special, like most guys do. But he's putting the time in, the work ethic in. He's living in town here, working in Defiance. So I'm excited that we've got those guys. And what's great is you have guys that have, as a group, quite a bit of experience, and yet they're so young. There's a lot of guys you just talked about they're going to be sophomores this fall.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you think about that, we've got a group of guys coming in that, as a whole, we have some really good athletes in there, some guys that we believe have shown us the ability to play the position. And right now, for our fans out there, one thing to keep in mind is that we have got to take everything into proper perspective, that this is still a very young group. And when you have a group that is that young, it's going to take a lot of mentoring. And that's your number one, deal in training camp. When you think of this group coming in, knowing that our fans can see these guys on Twitter and Instagram because we're allowed to post the guys that have deposited, and there's quite a bit of those guys at this point, and we've got some more coming. But what are your thoughts about the types of players we've got coming in, where they're from? I mean, just sort of give us some insight from your perspective, knowing that we can't really mention anyone's name on this.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the guys that we have for 2020 signees, they vary in a lot of different areas. Size being one of them. We have a lot of guys who have good size, really good size. Some guys that could bump down from safety and possibly play inside or outside linebacker. You have some corners with some length, some big, tall guys that can run with long limbs. So, that's always a plus. But a lot of these guys have a great set of skills. And when they get here, I just want to continue to put tools in their tool belt, give them different techniques that they could utilize when they're out there on the field, challenge them and get them out of their comfort zone and see how they respond. It's one thing to play and do it at a high level in high school, but when you go to college, everybody's the best player on their high school team in the college level. So, it won't come as easy. So guys that are able to handle adversity and overcome adversity, having a short-term memory is one thing that we always talk about. See who's competitive. You see it on film, but again, that was against high school competition. So we'll see who does it every day once they get here on campus.
Yeah, and the thing I'm excited about is we have scheduled right now 4 JV games, so guys that can come in and develop, because that's, you talk about Michael Myers, it took him some time to end up being out there for us toward the end of the year, and he made some great plays. So the patience that you have with these guys, working with them, taking a mentorship role is vital for our guys out there. I'm excited about the defensive backs as a group, and I personally expect them to play in the kicking game early. Get on special teams, make plays, show us that they can do some things in space out there. Coach Yeomans will be working with that, and you're obviously involved in the kicking game as well. That's our plan here at Defiance College with the secondary. Those are good players. Coach Johnson is in a great position to get these guys to just improve, even though they're very young. I want to thank everybody out there for watching this and listening to this on the podcast on the Swarm and Shoot Football Show. And we'll have some fun with this deal, and we'll see you next week. Thank you for joining us on this latest episode of the Swarm and Shoot Football Show. If you're listening to this podcast, make sure to subscribe in iTunes, give us a rating, comment on the show. If you're watching this on YouTube, subscribe to our YouTube channel, hit the bell in the top corner there so you can get notifications when we release the next show. Feel free to comment below on a specific show, and we'll answer those questions as we need to. If you'd like to step up to the next level and get all kinds of updates, go to our website, swarmandshoot.com, where you'll get up-to-date alerts on all of our podcasts. You'll have the audio on there. There's actually a video player where you can scroll through each and every episode that we have of the podcast from the YouTube version. So you never really have to leave the site. You'll also see some features on various players, our coaching staff bios, all types of things going on in our program, when our golf scramble is, different fundraisers we do, just insights for you that take you to that next level, which is what swarmandshoot.com will do for you. Take a minute and subscribe with your email. When you log on, there'll actually probably be a pop-up about 6 seconds into it, and it gives you a chance to go in, and that will put you into our email database. So every time we update, you get an email knowing that we're basically set to go on the next episode of the podcast or any news that's coming out. Appreciate you supporting the program, and look forward to a wonderful season.